There's something haunting about loving someone who refuses to see your worth. Not because you lack it, but because they're too blinded by their own wounds to recognize what stands in front of them. You stay, you give, you compromise, you quiet your needs, you offer grace when it should have been your boundaries. And deep down, you keep hoping that maybe, just maybe, they'll wake up and realize who you are. But they don't. They don't because they weren't ready. They don't because your light terrified them. They don't because loving someone fully requires them to face parts of themselves they've spent years running from. And so you become collateral damage in a war you never signed up for. It starts subtly, small dismissals, delayed responses, the way they begin to look at their phone more than they look at you. You brush it off. They're just tired. They've had a long day. I shouldn't take it personally. But deep in your gut, something is already unraveling. You feel it in the way you hesitate before speaking your mind. You sense it in the silence that follows after you express a need. You start shrinking without even realizing it. Love, which should have been expansive, begins to feel like a cage. And the cruelest part, you still believe it's your job to fix it because you stayed. And staying gave birth to the illusion that your patience might change them, that your forgiveness might heal them, that your softness might finally be enough. But people don't change because we love them. They change because they choose to. And when someone is unwilling to meet you halfway, no amount of staying will ever build the bridge. Yet we convince ourselves otherwise, don't we? We tell ourselves stories. They've just never been shown real love before. They're scared. They're broken. And while all of that may be true, it's not your responsibility to sacrifice your soul to mend theirs. Somewhere along the way, you begin measuring your value by how much pain you can endure without breaking. That's the toxic alchemy of love that isn't rooted in mutual respect. It teaches you that loyalty means tolerating neglect, that compassion means accepting mistreatment, and that love means losing yourself piece by piece as long as they get to stay whole. But that's not love. That's martyrdom. That's you trading your peace for the illusion of connection. That's you bleeding quietly in the corner, hoping they'll notice before it's too late. And even when the moment finally comes, when they walk away, when they ghost you, when they say, "I need space," your heart doesn't scream with rage. It whispers guilt. It asks, "Was I not enough?" It wonders what more you could have done, said, become. You don't just grieve the person. You grieve the version of yourself you lost in loving them. The version who once laughed freely, spoke boldly, danced in rooms without scanning for approval. You grieve the silence that now echoes where your voice once lived. But here's the truth no one tells you. Just because someone left doesn't mean you were unworthy. Just because they couldn't love you doesn't mean you're unlovable. Their inability to see your depth doesn't make you shallow, it makes them unequipped. And there's a big difference between the two. Some people are only capable of surface love. They love your smile, but not your silence. Your body, but not your bruises. Your energy, but not your exhaustion. And the moment you show them your full self, unfiltered, raw, messy, they flinch, they withdraw, they call it too much. But you weren't too much. You were just too real for someone addicted to shallow waters. You see, there are people in this world who crave intensity but run from intimacy, who chase affection but flee from accountability. They want the feeling of being loved but not the responsibility that comes with truly showing up. And when they meet someone like you, someone who offers depth, patience, vulnerability, they don't know what to do with it. It terrifies them because real love doesn't let you hide. Real love reflects. It brings your shadows into the light. And if a person isn't ready to face themselves, they will sabotage anything that makes them feel seen. And yet, despite everything, you stayed. Not because you were foolish, but because you were brave. Because you believed in love's power to transform. Because you saw their potential. Because hope for you wasn't weakness, it was endurance. And there is something sacred about a heart that still hopes, even after it's been broken. Don't let the ending convince you otherwise. You didn't lose because you stayed. They lost because they couldn't rise to meet you. You stayed because your soul recognized a story behind their silence. You stayed because you thought love meant holding on, even when it hurt. You stayed because letting go felt like giving up. But now you know that staying isn't always strength. Sometimes strength is walking away. Sometimes strength is choosing yourself, not out of spite, not out of pride, but out of reverence for your own spirit. You don't owe anyone your destruction just to prove your loyalty. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. The right person will never ask you to. The right person won't punish you for your softness. They won't disappear when you get anxious. They won't mock your needs or minimize your truth. They will stay. They will listen. They will see the parts of you that others ran from, and they will choose you, not despite them, but because of them. And until that person arrives, you don't have to settle for halfway love. You don't have to keep knocking on closed doors, begging someone to see your worth. You can walk away, you can heal, you can reclaim every piece of yourself that you gave away too soon. You can stand in front of a mirror and say, I stayed, I loved, I tried, and now I'm done. Not with love, but with begging for it. Not with connection, but with abandoning yourself for it. Because the truth is, your presence was the gift. Your heart was the offering. And anyone who couldn't see that was never meant to hold it. There's a strange silence that comes after someone you deeply cared for walks away. Not the kind of silence that offers peace, but the kind that lingers in the corners of your room like an echo that refuses to fade. You sit with your own thoughts and realize how much space they used to take up, how every little part of your day somehow circled back to them. A song, a smell, a certain phrase, it all stings now. And yet, despite the weight in your chest, you pretend to be okay. You smile for the world, carry on with your routines, respond to texts, go to work, but deep inside, there's a void that no one sees, a quiet ache that only surfaces when the world stops watching. You find yourself looking through old conversations, not to rekindle, but to remember, to make sense of what happened, to find the moment when things shifted. But love doesn't always leave a clear trail. Sometimes it fades in fragments. One day they start replying slower. Another day, the tone changes. Eventually you feel like a stranger trying to hold on to a version of them that no longer exists. And you wonder, how does someone go from loving you deeply to forgetting you completely? The answer is not always about you. Sometimes people don't know how to stay because they were never taught how to value what's real. So you sit with that heartbreak, not because you enjoy the pain, but because you're learning to face it. You've spent so much of your energy trying to be strong, trying to rise above, trying to seem unaffected. But the truth is, healing doesn't come from pretending. It comes from honoring the ache, from admitting that you loved with your whole heart, from recognizing that you gave something sacred. And even though it didn't last, it mattered. Because what you gave wasn't weak, it was beautiful. Not everyone can give that kind of love, and even fewer know how to receive it. Sometimes we try to make people love us by loving them harder. We think that if we just become more understanding, more giving, more available, they'll see our worth. But love doesn't work that way. Love is not earned through sacrifice. It's not proven through pain. Real love is a choice made freely and continuously. It is shown in consistency, in respect, in presence, and if someone makes you feel like you have to chase, prove, or earn your place in their life, that's not love. That's emotional survival. You'll start to notice this as you heal, the way your body responds to silence differently, the way your mind stops waiting for their message, the way you start laughing again, first a little, then louder. Healing doesn't happen in one grand moment. It unfolds in the quiet decisions you make each day. The choice to not reach out. The choice to sleep instead of overthink. The choice to spend time with people who see you without conditions. The choice to look in the mirror and not search for what you lacked, but to finally recognize the strength in your reflection. And eventually, a strange kind of clarity begins to form. You stop blaming them. You stop blaming yourself. You start understanding that some people aren't capable of meeting you where you are. Not because you're too much, but because they haven't yet found enough in themselves. And that's not your burden to carry. You can love someone and still walk away. You can forgive someone and still close the chapter. You can wish them healing and still protect your peace. One of the hardest things to accept is that closure doesn't always come with answers. Sometimes it comes with acceptance. You don't need to hear, "I'm sorry." You don't need a dramatic goodbye. What you need is the quiet decision within yourself that says, "I deserve more than this." That says, "I will not keep watering a garden where nothing grows." That says, "My love is a gift, not a punishment." You'll have days when the ache returns unexpectedly, when a memory sneaks in and pulls the breath from your chest. That's okay. Healing isn't linear. Some days you'll feel like you've moved on, and others will remind you of what you lost. But even in those moments, you're growing. Because every time you choose not to chase, not to beg, not to reopen wounds, you're telling yourself a new story. One where your worth is not determined by someone else's inability to love you. You start reclaiming your energy. You redirect the love you once poured into them back into yourself. You buy flowers just because. You take yourself on walks without needing a destination. You listen to songs and let the tears fall without shame. You begin to trust yourself again. And in doing so, you remember that love doesn't just come from another person. It comes from the way you show up for yourself, day after day, even when no one else does. And when you least expect it, you begin to feel free. Not because you've forgotten them, but because you've forgiven yourself for staying too long, for hoping too much, for loving someone who wasn't ready. You stop trying to rewrite the past and start focusing on the future you're now building. One rooted in clarity, not confusion. In mutual effort, not one-sided giving. In truth, not pretense. That freedom doesn't shout. It doesn't arrive with grand declarations. It slips in gently, like sunlight through a window. One day you'll wake up and realize you didn't think about them first thing in the morning, that your heart feels lighter, that your smile no longer hides a wound, that you are not just surviving, you are living again. And that's when you know. You didn't lose when they left. You found yourself in the silence they created. The day you decide to choose yourself isn't always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's as simple as closing a chat box you used to stare at for hours. Sometimes it's not replying to a message that offers no real change, just recycled comfort. Sometimes it's walking home a different way, just so you don't pass that one place that still smells like them. Healing isn't about grand gestures, it's about small revolutions. And every time you put your well-being first, even when it hurts, you reclaim a piece of yourself that was lost in the longing. What many people don't understand is that the hardest part of walking away isn't the leaving. It's staying gone. It's resisting the urge to reach out when you miss them, when you're lonely, when nostalgia feels like truth. Because the mind is a master of illusion. It remembers the good in vivid color and blurs the pain into soft grays. It tricks you into thinking that maybe things weren't that bad. Maybe they did love you in their own way. Maybe if you had just done one more thing, said it differently, waited a bit longer. But here's what clarity teaches you. If someone truly cared, you wouldn't be here trying to convince yourself they did. Real love leaves evidence, not just in words, but in presence, in effort, in how someone shows up when it's not convenient. The ones who love you don't disappear when it gets heavy. They lean in. They ask what you need. They fight beside you, not against you. And if that was missing, no amount of overthinking will rewrite it into something it never was. You've spent enough nights unraveling yourself for someone who never learned how to hold you gently. Enough mornings pretending everything is fine when your chest was carrying the weight of unspoken hurt. Enough time hoping that love alone could rewrite someone's character. But the truth is, love is only enough when it flows both ways. When it's met with action, with intention, with care. You might look back and realize how often you confused effort with love. How many times you carried the entire emotional weight of the connection, thinking that being strong meant staying. But strength isn't staying where your soul is shrinking. Strength is standing up and saying, "This doesn't serve me anymore." Even when your heart is still clinging to the pieces. Because peace isn't always soft. Sometimes it's fierce. Sometimes it's found in the firm, "No more," whispered through tears. There's a sacred kind of growth that happens when you start honoring what you need. Not just what you desire in a partner, but what you require. Respect, consistency, transparency, emotional maturity. You learn that love is not just chemistry, it's compatibility, it's shared values. It's how you're treated in your lowest moments, not just how you're adored in your highest. And when someone fails to honor that, you no longer call it love. You call it what it is, a lesson. And not every lesson needs to be revisited. Some are meant to be closed, no matter how unfinished they feel. Because real closure isn't something they give you. It's something you give yourself. It's the decision to no longer seek validation from the one who hurt you. It's realizing that their silence, their absence, their inability to show up is its own answer. You don't need to keep explaining your worth to someone committed to misunderstanding you. As time goes on, you begin to recognize the red flags you used to ignore. The subtle dismissals, the way they twisted your words, the emotional distance disguised as independence, the way you constantly question your own needs, wondering if you were being too much. That's the beauty of healing. You begin to see clearly. You no longer make excuses for others just to keep them around. You stop romanticizing potential. You honor reality. And maybe the most powerful shift is this. You stop waiting to be chosen. You realize that you've been the gift all along, that your love, your presence, your softness, those are rare, that your loyalty is not to be handed out without discernment, that your peace is more important than any temporary affection. And with that realization, you begin to move differently. You protect your energy. You choose silence over drama, distance over disrespect, clarity over confusion. The people around you might not notice this change at first, but you will. You'll feel it in the way your nervous system relaxes when you no longer check your phone obsessively. In the way your smile returns, not for anyone else, but because you're finally coming home to yourself. In the way your mind feels lighter when you're no longer constantly analyzing someone else's behavior. You may still miss them, and that's okay. Missing someone doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. It means you cared. It means you had hope. It means you're human. But the difference now is that you're not letting your longing pull you back into something that broke you. You can honor the past without reopening it. You can acknowledge the love you had without giving it power over your future. And slowly you begin to dream again. You start imagining a connection where you don't have to dim your light, where your voice is heard without having to raise it, where your emotions aren't called dramatic, but understood, where love feels like ease, not survival. That vision pulls you forward, not in desperation, but in quiet faith, because now you know what you will never accept again. And when that day comes, when someone steps into your life with the kind of love that feels safe, steady, and real, you won't question if you're worthy of it. You'll already know. You'll embrace it not because it completes you, but because you are already whole. And you'll thank the version of yourself that walked away, that stayed strong, that chose peace over pain. Because of that version of you, that was the beginning of everything. There's something deeply sacred about the moment you finally stop looking over your shoulder, waiting for them to come back. It doesn't happen all at once. Healing never announces itself with fanfare. It sneaks in on ordinary days, when you realize the pain doesn't sting as much, when you laugh without guilt, when your playlist no longer feels like a minefield of memories. Slowly, gently, you begin to breathe like yourself again. You stop rereading the old messages. You stop rehearsing the same conversations in your mind. You stop imagining closure in their voice, and instead you begin creating it in your own silence. You start showing up for yourself in ways you never thought possible. Mornings become softer. You light a candle just because. You clean your space, not to impress anyone, but because your peace now lives there. You wear clothes that feel like home, not armor. You make tea and sit by the window, not waiting for anyone, just being. And somewhere in those simple rituals, you start meeting the version of yourself you had abandoned to keep them close. She's still there, brave, kind, intuitive. You begin listening to her again, and the world feels different too. You notice things you once missed, the way the light hits the wall in the early hours, the comfort of a deep exhale, the feeling of your bare feet on the floor, present, grounded. There's a purity in solitude you never understood until now. It's not loneliness, it's freedom. It's space to hear your own thoughts without someone else's doubt echoing through them. It's space to rebuild trust, not in others, but in yourself. Because perhaps the deepest wound wasn't that they left. It's that, for so long, you abandoned yourself trying to hold on. You said yes when your soul whispered no. You stayed silent when your heart was begging to speak. You gave without receiving. You waited without being seen. That kind of self-betrayal leaves a mark, but it also offers a turning point, the invitation to come back home to yourself, to stop reaching for hands that only take, to stop molding yourself into someone easier to love. And now you see it. You see how love isn't supposed to leave you anxious. It isn't supposed to feel like walking on eggshells. It isn't supposed to be earned through silence or sacrifice. Real love is safe, it's steady, it's mutual, and anything less than that is not yours to carry. You don't have to prove yourself worthy. You were always worthy. Your only job now is to believe it, to act like it, to protect it. You begin setting boundaries, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. You no longer reply to messages that come out of convenience. You stop entertaining people who only reach for you when it's easy. You recognize the difference between presence and attention. You crave depth, not drama. And that means sometimes you have to be alone. But that solitude, it's where your power regenerates. It's where your wisdom deepens. It's where your heart remembers its own rhythm. It's easy to forget how strong you are when love breaks you open. But there's a certain kind of strength in choosing yourself. Even when it would have been easier to stay, even when your heart still aches, even when your bed still feels too big. That strength is the beginning of everything. Because once you know what you deserve, you stop accepting less. Once you taste peace, chaos becomes unbearable. And once you become whole, love becomes a choice, not a need. You begin to notice people differently now. You watch how they speak, how they show up, how they listen. You observe more. You rush less. You understand that energy doesn't lie, that you don't have to chase or prove or beg. The right ones recognize your depth without needing to be convinced. The right ones hold your softness like a treasure, not a burden. And when they come, you'll know, because it won't feel like proving. It will feel like remembering. And even if you haven't met them yet, even if the nights are still quiet and the days still stretch long, you're not waiting. You're living, fully, authentically, with your whole heart. Because healing didn't just teach you how to move on, it taught you how to return to yourself. To love without losing, to give without depletion, to stay open but not unguarded. You look back now, not with bitterness, but with clarity. You thank the experience, not because it was fair or painless, but because it taught you what love isn't. It taught you what you'll never again accept. And that's a powerful kind of wisdom, one that can't be stolen, only earned. So if you're still healing, still navigating the echoes, still learning to trust again, know this: you're doing beautifully. Even on the days when it doesn't feel like it, even when you fall back into old patterns, even when your heart still flinches at memories. Healing is not about perfection. It's about progression, it's about grace, and you, with all your scars and softness, are the very definition of grace. You survived what tried to break you. You loved fully, even when it wasn't returned. You walked away, even when your soul still reached back. That is not weakness. That is courage. That is transformation. That is becoming. And somewhere out there, a future version of you is smiling. She's proud. She's free. She's surrounded by peace, by people who see her, by a life that feels like home. And she is whispering back through time to you in this very moment. Thank you for not giving up on us. There is a moment that arrives quietly, so quietly you almost miss it, when your peace finally outweighs your longing. You wake up and realize you didn't dream about them. You walk through your day without scanning every room for their face, without reaching for your phone to check if maybe, just impress anyone. But because your peace now lives there, you wear clothes that feel like home, not armor. You make tea and sit by the window, not waiting for anyone, just being. And somewhere in those simple rituals, You start meeting the version of yourself you had abandoned to keep them close. She's still there, brave, kind, intuitive. You begin listening to her again, and the world feels different too. You notice things you once missed. The way the light hits the wall in the early hours, the comfort of a deep exhale, the feeling of your bare feet on the floor, present, grounded. There's a purity in solitude you never understood until now. It's not loneliness, it's freedom. It's space to hear your own thoughts without someone else's doubt echoing through them. It's space to rebuild trust, not in others, but in yourself. Because perhaps the deepest wound wasn't that they left. It's that, for so long, you abandoned yourself trying to hold on. You said yes when your soul whispered no. You stayed silent when your heart was begging to speak. You gave without receiving. You waited without being seen. That kind of self-betrayal leaves a mark, but it also offers a turning point, the invitation to come back home to yourself, to stop reaching for hands that only take, to stop molding yourself into someone easier to love. And now you see it. You see how love isn't supposed to leave you anxious. It isn't supposed to feel like walking on eggshells. It isn't supposed to be earned through silence or sacrifice. Real love is safe, it's steady, it's mutual, and anything less than that is not yours to carry. You don't have to prove yourself worthy. You were always worthy. Your only job now is to believe it, to act like it, to protect it. You begin setting boundaries, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. You no longer reply to messages that come out of convenience. You stop entertaining people who only reach for you when it's easy. You recognize the difference between presence and attention. You crave depth, not drama. And that means sometimes you have to be alone. But that solitude, it's where your power regenerates. It's where your wisdom deepens. It's where your heart remembers its own rhythm. It's easy to forget how strong you are when love breaks you open. But there's a certain kind of strength in choosing yourself. Even when it would have been easier to stay. Even when your heart still aches. Even when your bed still feels too big. That strength is the beginning of everything. Because once you know what you deserve, you stop accepting less. Once you taste peace, chaos becomes unbearable. And once you become whole, love becomes a choice, not a need. You begin to notice people differently now. You watch how they speak, how they show up, how they listen. You observe more. You rush less. You understand that energy doesn't lie, that you don't have to chase or prove or beg. The right ones recognize your depth without needing to be convinced. The right ones hold your softness like a treasure, not a burden. And when they come, you'll know, because it won't feel like proving. It will feel like remembering. And even if you haven't met them yet, even if the nights are still quiet and the days still stretch long, you're not waiting. You're living, fully, authentically, with your whole heart. Because healing didn't just teach you how to move on, it taught you how to return to yourself, to love without losing, to give without depletion, to stay open but not unguarded. You look back now, not with bitterness, but with clarity. You thank the experience, not because it was fair or painless, but because it taught you what love isn't. It taught you what you'll never again accept. And that's a powerful kind of wisdom, one that can't be stolen, only earned. So if you're still healing, still navigating the echoes, still learning to trust again, know this: you're doing beautifully. Even on the days when it doesn't feel like it, even when you fall back into old patterns, even when your heart still flinches at memories. Healing is not about perfection. It's about progression, it's about grace, and you, with all your scars and softness, are the very definition of grace. You survived what tried to break you. You loved fully, even when it wasn't returned. You walked away, even when your soul still reached back. That is not weakness. That is courage. That is transformation. That is becoming. And somewhere out there, a future version of you is smiling. She's proud. She's free. She's surrounded by peace, by people who see her, by a life that feels like home. And she is whispering back through time to you in this very moment. Thank you for not giving up on us. There is a moment that arrives quietly, so quietly you almost miss it, when your peace finally outweighs your longing. You wake up and realize you didn't dream about them. You walk through your day without scanning every room for their face, without reaching for your phone to check if maybe, just